everybody. Welcome to the OnStage Blog Theater podcast. And today it's going to be super fun and different. We are diving into a big issue that a big story in the theater world. I am theater critic Rachel Wagner, and Chris Peterson is here.
Hi. Oh
How
my
are you
gosh, long time no
doing?
see. Yes, doing
Yeah.
great. Glad to be back on this guest special episode pod
Yeah.
to talk about one of my favorite people, Cynthia Erivo.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about this fan art that Cynthia Erivo was very upset by. We're going to talk about it and just about Wicked in general and our excitement about the movie and everything and the show. So it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have some more coverage of Wicked, of course, after the movie comes out. Jax and I will do a whole episode where we talk about the show versus the movie and fingers crossed that it's good. But yeah, let's dive in and I guess I guess I'll let you take over from here.
Yeah, where should we start? Well, yeah, how did this all come about? Well, so yesterday, because we're recording this on a Thursday, I saw news that came out that Cynthia who's we all know is starring as Alphaba, had reacted not too kindly to some fan art that was out there. One of which was basically a recreation of the original musical poster, that the illustration that we all know of
Mhm.
Glinda whispering into Alphaba's ear, and the hat is kind of pulled down. There's a little bit of a smirk on Alphaba's face, and the movie poster that came out was basically an homage to that. And this fan just basically said, forget the homage, I'll just do a recreation. And so they just edited the face and made the hat come down a little further, put a smile on Cynthia's face, and just put it out there and said, look what I did. And, I from looking at a lot of the reaction from the fan community, a lot of people were like, cool, awesome, good job. But Cynthia took it upon herself to repost on social media and call it like the most offensive thing ever, and how she's a human being and this is erasure, and raising all these other issues over an innocent piece of fan art that really was done in admiration and excitement for the Wicked movie, not anything explicit or in jest or anything like that. And so
Yeah.
it caused quite the hubbub in the community. Every major theatrical journalistic website talked about it. Every entertainment website is talking about
Yeah.
it. And I kind of looked at it as an overreaction on Cynthia's part. Um, I looked at it as another example of the Cynthia Erivo that I've encountered over the years, and just kind of been like, this is just another kind of eye-rolling inducing moment with her. And I wrote an article kind of talking about that and put it out this morning on the blog, onstageblog.com. You can go check it out yourself. And it has caused quite the hubbub. I've been looking at the view count all day, and it's gigantic. The comments on our Facebook page, the comments on other places that this article has been shared and posted have been uh, very fun and interesting to read, and the assumptions that people are making about me and my intentions and things like that, and also my identity. A lot of people are saying like, "Oh, typical white guy writing this," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Oh man, you're in for a surprise if you Google me." Um, so again, like the reaction has been definitely mixed, because there's also people saying like, yeah, this was kind of an overreaction by her. So
Yeah.
um,
I
it's been
posted
interesting.
about it on my Twitter. I said this seems extreme, and pretty much all of the responses are in agreement with that. I don't have anybody. I mean, the closest I got to somebody agreeing with her was an actor being upset at AI content, especially if it's degrading, is completely understandable. But I agree that it's extreme to be angry over fan art made with good intentions.
And especially you're talking about a fan community that's been doing fan art around this musical since
Yeah.
2003. So um, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I saw the AI fighting video that I saw of that poster. I get it. Like, okay, that's a little weird, and people making stuff like that. And of course, if there's anything hateful or explicit out there, that's terrible too. But to equate an innocent fan art of admiration and fandom to that hateful stuff really was a misstep. And you know, again, a lot of people, if you've listened to previous podcasts, if you follow this blog since 2016, you'd know that I'm not in the Cynthia Erivo fan club, and that's really based on my experiences with her. I've had one-on-one experiences with her as a theater journalist in interview settings. I've seen her in other events and things like that. And when we talk about some of the great people in the Broadway community who are kind and generous to a fault and all these other things, I wouldn't put her on those lists. But that's my own personal opinion. So when I saw this happen, I was like, yep, there's the Cynthia I know.
Well, and it's not just you personally. She has created controversy in response to other online things in the past. Some of the things that she said, some divisive comments that she's made in the past. This is not the first time that she's.
No, I mean there's never been a fight that Cynthia does not want to get involved with or start or walk away from. And to her, I'll give her credit where credit's due. She's incredibly passionate. I've seen her defend people, and the way that she defends people that she loves and respects is the kind of fight that you want to have in a friend. Um, but having said that, it's like, yeah, her attitude and the way that I've seen her treat others and things like that, just it's not how I would do it.
Well,
And
it just seems very, very misguided that, it's like, where was her team? Because, I mean, she's about to be in quite possibly the biggest movie of the year. It's definitely going to be in the top 3 for sure. And, and so this is just par for the course. I mean, I was telling people, I'm like, I'm the opposite of famous. Like, nobody knows who I am. And I've had fan art made about me. I've, I've had, and I always, like, I had one in particular where I was like, I don't like that at all, of course, but I just keep so, thanks so much, so thoughtful. Thanks for
right,
doing
I
that.
mean, and again, like it just and the thing that drove me nuts, and I say this in the piece, the part of it that really annoys me is she does have a point. I mean, there is actually like erasure of women in entertainment, especially Black women. That's a real thing, and um, that's a systemic problem. That the solutions have not come quick enough, and I say that very clearly in the piece. But that's not what the situation is, and so that's like me getting upset about like if I see in a movie an actor eating at a Chinese restaurant, and I'm going to say, well, that's
Yeah.
misappropriation and racist, and how dare that actor eat at a Chinese restaurant? Like, come on. I mean, that's me basically misplacing
Yeah, it's
and
kind of
mis
crying wolf in a way. So then when something actually really that matters happens, people don't won't care as much what she has to say because she did here where it didn't matter
Exactly,
as much.
exactly. And to your point, I mean, you just nailed it on the head, Rachel. I mean, you said, she's about to star in the biggest movie musical potentially of all time, at least in the past, as far as back as I can think, maybe since Les Mis in terms of anticipation
Yeah.
for this. She's absolutely got, I think, when you look at the two roles in Wicked, she's got the meteor one, the more awards bait one, so to speak. So I definitely when we look at awards trends, I mean, she's absolutely going to get a Golden Globe nomination for something like this, maybe an Oscar nomination.
Yeah,
Who
she's already
knows?
had one, so
Right? Her salary for this movie was $2 million on the front end. Who knows if she's getting back end things as well.
right.
So she's great. She's doing great. This musical has been good to her, and it hasn't even come out yet. No reason to go after fans. It was like the forced era of unforced errors to
Yeah.
go after your fans. Um,
Well,
and just
let's
completely not needed.
for the record, let's talk about let's do a little backup. So the poster, of course, was the original playbill for Wicked, and it showed Glinda whispering, and it shows Elphaba with a smirk, and it's an illustration. It's not as she says in her piece, and and then they do this, and people have been asking why don't they recreate the poster. So then they bring it out, and they don't have the hat is different, the hand is different, and then the biggest thing is the smirk was different, and she didn't have the red lips as in the drawing. So that's what inspired this person to say, "Oh, I fixed it," because
Yeah.
most people didn't think it was a very good poster. How did you feel about the poster? Did you think it was a good poster? Or?
I thought it was a clever poster. I saw what they were trying to do. I saw what they were kind of paying an homage toward. And I'll be honest, if the poster came out and it was, let's say, a recreation of what we saw with the hat pulled down and all that, yeah, maybe I could understand if that was the official poster. I could see why Cynthia might be upset. And same thing with Ariana Grande, because her entire profile will be almost covered by her face, and things like that. So I get it, but at the same time, as we're getting, doing an entire podcast and hubbub about a poster, I also turn it back to Cynthia, like, who cares? It's a poster. It's not the
Mhm.
movie. No one's gonna obscure your face in this two-part, unnecessary, by the way, two-part movie that's coming out. Um,
Yeah. Well,
and
and the erasure was intentional in that it was copying the original. So I mean, unless you considered that original art to be erasing Alphaba, then like it was intentional as far as what it's not like somebody was trying to do it to be personal to her. It was just about the
right.
original design.
And we've seen, there's been plenty of articles written about how there have been, properties where black actors are playing roles and their image is distorted. Like, in the early days of the Marvel universe, if there was a black actor in a movie, they were painted purple, they were painted yellow, they were green, there were all these other different colors.
Mm.
Pixar got into a lot of problems with that movie's Soul because he took Jamie Foxx's black character and made it into this white soul character, and people called that
Well, and
erasure.
then make him a cat,
And
and
exactly.
he becomes a cat.
And
Yeah.
my point is, like, okay, but Cynthia, if you're going to get upset about that, you're in a movie where you're painted green, so like, and you're all about that role. So
Mhm.
it's one of those things where just misplaced,
Yeah.
completely misplaced, and an unforced error on her end.
Here's what she said, and excuse the language. She says, "This is the wildest, most offensive thing I have seen, equal to that awful AI of us fighting, equal to the people posing the question, is your pussy green? None of this is funny. None of it is cute. It degrades me. It degrades us. The original poster is an illustration. I am a real life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer, because without words, we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is an homage, not an imitation. To edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase me, and that is just deeply hurtful." I mean, does she have any point about her? Evidently, she had full control over this photo shoot, and she's looking down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, she has
No.
there is no point. And there's nothing I can agree. But again, like, if that was the official poster of the movie, that the marketing company came out that did hide her face and all these other things, fine. Okay, I can see that, but
Mm,
and rightfully so, she does call out explicit memes that she's been seeing and things like that. You're absolutely right to call those things out. That's gross. That's not needed. Um, but to say that this was the step too far. This was the final straw. This fan art that someone just had really, the lightest of fun with, and no, nefarious or malicious intentions whatsoever, and yet they're blowing it up. And keep in mind, I mean, this is what these celebrities have to understand. What they do is, when they do share this work, people are going to it puts an unfair target on a fan who doesn't have the legal protections or the people around her to insulate her from these things that Cynthia Erivo has. So Cynthia can turn her flock of fans on this poor innocent fan who just made a
mm.
quick fun edit to the movie, which
Yeah, and
I think is completely
Ariana's
unfair.
fans especially.
And Ariana's fans.
Yeah.
And again, social media is a cesspool, and people are going to say terrible, terrible things, but this stuff can turn real. And so when you turn this unfair spotlight, this unfair bullseye on an unsuspecting fan, that yeah, it just I just thought it wasn't needed. And when you read that comment, you're like, I to my mind is like, okay, there were probably about a 99 other things that were bothering you, and then you just let this be the 100th thing, and that's what set her off. And it just
Yeah.
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and it really just it kind of takes the air out of the balloon as far as the momentum that was building and building. And obviously we'll forget about it, and we still got a month, but it'll be fine. But there was John Campia, who's a movie podcaster and YouTuber. He did a whole thing on his show about how he was pretty excited, and that he doesn't usually like musicals, and this really turned him off, and he's not as excited as he was before. So it just, I mean, I'm sure that the Wicked team were just like,
Yeah.
why did you say that? Why? Because it
It's,
was an unnecessary error.
yeah. And again, I think the movie's gonna do fine. I have realistic expectations of how movie musicals perform in box offices based on a long history of seeing, how these things do. I don't have the highest of faith that this is going to be the gangbuster blockbuster that the studios are probably hoping for. So this
Mm.
stuff doesn't help. And
Mm.
I don't think this will impact anybody. Like her doing this is not going to prevent someone from seeing this movie. I do think though it will prevent the other purchases that go along with the movie. So do I think
Yeah.
that the merchandise might take a hit? Do I think that the licensed products that we're seeing might take a hit? I just saw um like Neapolitan ice cream brand come out where it's like green and pink, and you pick
Yeah.
a side and all this. So that stuff takes a hit because it's like if you don't like the person
Yeah.
that's on the box of
Yeah.
cereal, are you
It's
going to buy
true.
that box of cereal? So,
True.
um,
And I am
yeah,
like loving all of this merch. Oh my gosh. I'm having to control myself. I don't know. I just love it.
and
So
God,
fun.
I love Broadway World. Robert, who founded Broadway World, is a good friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
But they are doing it every time a new product is announced. They do an article about it, and I jokingly want to text them like, "Are you guys getting something on the back end for that?" Because like it every day there's like like today was a picture frame that like it's a pink and
Oh.
green picture frame, and I'm like, "Stop it! Just stop all
just
of
the
this,
just
please."
the movie theater alone merch is the stuff I'm most aware of, but all the popcorn buckets and all that, I'm like,
Oh,
not
yeah.
at all.
So
But
so
but
again,
I
like,
thought that one of my commenters, he made a good point. Jess, she says the fan version also hides Ariana's face. Notice the hand is higher. It's not like Arivia was specifically targeted. And I thought that was a good point.
right. And Ariana's also not going to say anything because, I think she actually has more to prove in this movie. So that she's a really good actress. I mean, Cynthia's an Academy Award nominated actress. She's won a Tony. Like we
Yeah, and a
know that
Grammy.
Cynthia's a exact and she's an Oscar away from getting that or an Emmy as well from the EGOT. So we know how talented Cynthia is in all phases. With Ariana, a little unproven. She's a brilliant singer. I know she was on
Yeah.
Broadway as a kid, and she's great on SNL when she's doing guest hosting, but is she an actress? We'll see. We'll find out. So that's why I think Ariana's like, yeah, do all the fan art you want, as long keep it clean, keep it civil, but like,
Yeah.
do it. And that's why I don't think you've seen her come out and say
No.
anything.
I mean, I do think this is going to be a really big hit. I just feel like it's going to get that Barbie
I hope
energy.
so.
I really
Yeah.
do. I feel like it's going to appeal to every demographic. I mean, I think kids, families are going to, whenever you can get families to go see a movie, unless it gets like terrible reviews. If it's terrible, then it won't do as well. But I'm assuming it will be watchable. And so even if it's like 60% on RT, like if I still think even then I think it will do really, really well. Um, because I don't know, I just feel like it will satisfy so many different demographics, and whereas maybe other musicals are more niche,
Yeah.
and not as and so that's why I really think it will do quite well. But but I am the biggest softie when it comes to movie musicals. I am forgiving of ones that most people are not forgiving. I don't know. I don't know why. But that's when you knew this Joker movie was really not good. If I didn't like it, I am
Oh my
super
gosh.
forgiving when it comes to musicals. But with so I'm guessing that I will still like it even if it's flawed. I'm hopeful. But I worry about them splitting into two. I think that's the biggest mistake. I think that's the biggest landmine that they have to kind of
Yeah.
convince me that this is needed. Because I don't know about you, but I just feel like Wicked is a very top heavy show. I feel like almost all the good
Mm,
songs are in that first act. And I
yeah.
mean, how you can have a whole nother movie after Defying Gravity? I just don't see how that, like, and even if this movie is pretty good, I feel like the next movie, what is left? Like it's just, I mean, For Good is really the only, like, I mean, almost
Yeah.
the second act is mostly reprises,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
also it's like unless they're pulling, and that's the other thing, they can't really pull much from the book to add into the show because the book is, by the way, folks, if you've never read the Wicked book, it
Yeah.
is completely different than the
Yeah.
musical. So
And
they
a lot
can't
more
really pull a
racy, I've
lot.
heard.
A lot racy,
Yeah.
and the characters are much, much different. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, like they can't really pull much from the book. So it'll be a lot of invention, I think. But
I'm
I,
very curious because in the trailer they show clips of Dorothy and the Yellow Brick Road, and there's you see that. So I'm like,
yeah,
what? What is that? And
it's going to be interesting.
how are we going to have that in this movie, the first movie? I could understand having that in the second movie, but so I that's where John Chu really has to win me over is does this need to be two movies? What are they doing? I mean, I'm sure that we'll get more Fierro, and I bet you he'll have like a big plot because Jonathan Bailey's such a star. And so I mean, I think that they'll add a lot more there, but I don't know.
We'll
That's the
see.
biggest question I have going into it is are they going to be able to convince me that this should have been two movies?
Yeah, yeah. Well, exactly. And in closing, like I said, I I I agree with you. I don't think this is going to really impact its box office success or failure. I think that it'll impact other areas. But Cynthia, if you're watching this or listening to this, because apparently you are scouring the internet for fan art, and so maybe you are reading
Yeah,
this or seeing this, chill out.
yeah,
Chill out. You're gonna be fine. Let the fans be fans. Attack what's real problems and just be a better person. Because yeah, we don't need this.
yeah. I agree. I agree. That was my feeling. That just enjoy the ride. Have fun. This should be fun. It's
This should be
wicked.
fun. This is the best part of your life.
Yay.
Enjoy it. So,
So
Rachel,
there we
a
go.
pleasure as always. I'm so glad we got to talk tonight.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. And let us know in the comments. We want to hear from you what you think. Do you agree with her? Are
Oh,
you on her
yes.
side? What do you think of her statement and the fan art and all of that? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And we'll put a link in the description to the article. So if people want to check that out, they can. And they can find all of our content. If you look at, there's a whole playlist of all of our episodes. So this is your first time listening to the OnStage Blog Theater podcast, make sure to check that out. We have some really fun episodes, and yeah, we talk all things theater. And you can find me at rachelsreviewstheater.com. You can check out all of my reviews. And there we go. That's everything.
There it is.